Welcome to Soul Stories, where every tale touches the heart, inspires the mind, and stays with the soul. It was a cold, grey Sunday morning, the kind where the sky felt heavy and the air carried a sharp bite. The bells of the old church had just finished ringing, their echo fading into the quiet streets. On the wide stone steps, huddled close to the rusted railing, sat a young homeless woman named Maya. Her thin blanket, frayed at the edges, barely offered protection from the icy wind that slipped through every tear in the fabric. Her long hair was tangled, falling into her face as she had tried to hide from the world beneath her blanket. Her hands trembled not just from the cold, but from exhaustion and hunger. She hadn't eaten properly in 2 days, surviving only on the scraps someone had left by mistake near a garbage bin. Her body felt weak, but her heart felt weaker. People passed by in clean coats and polished shoes, heading toward the warm interior of the church. Some glanced at her for a second and then quickly looked away, pretending they hadn't noticed her at all. Others didn't even bother. They walked past her as if she didn't exist, as if she was just another part of the stone steps. Maya kept her head down, her cheek resting on her knee. If she looked up, she feared she would start crying again. The loneliness felt heavier than the cold morning air. Every breath she took came out shaky, a mix of cold and silent despair. She wrapped the thin blanket tighter around her shoulders, wishing just for a moment that someone would see her, truly see her. Her stomach growled, and she pressed her hand against it, hoping to quiet the ache. She remembered the life she once had: a small apartment, a job at a bakery, warm meals, and laughter. All of that disappeared after the accident that took her mother and left Maya drowning in grief she couldn't climb out of. Bills piled up, her job slipped away, and eventually, so did her home. Now these church steps were the only place she knew to sit and rest. As she tried to steady her breathing, she heard footsteps, small ones, soft and uncertain. Slowly, Maya lifted her eyes. Small girl, no more than 6 or 7, stood a few steps away. She had bright, curious eyes and bouncy curls that framed her rosy cheeks. She wore a warm little coat and carried a tiny pink backpack decorated with stickers of stars and rainbows. Unlike the adults who rushed past, the little girl didn't look away. She didn't hesitate. She simply stood there, staring at Maya with a gentle, puzzled expression. It was as if she could somehow see the sadness that everyone else ignored. As if she sensed that the shivering woman in front of her wasn't just cold. She was hurting. The girl took one small step closer, then another, and Maya, for the first time that morning, felt something warm hope stir faintly in her chest. The little girl stood in front of Maya for a long moment, her small boots planted firmly on the cold steps. The morning wind tugged at her curls, but she didn't seem to notice. Her eyes, wide, innocent, and full of warmth, were fixed on Maya's tear-stained face. She tilted her head slightly, as if trying to understand a feeling much bigger than her age. Then, in the softest voice, she whispered, I think you need a hug. Maya blinked. Had she heard that correctly? No one had spoken to her kindly in months, and certainly not with such simple, pure concern. She opened her mouth to say something, anything, but no words came out. Her throat tightened, overwhelmed by emotions she had pushed away for too long. Before Maya could react, the little girl stepped forward and gently wrapped her small arms around Maya's shoulders. It wasn't just a hug, it was a full, warm, honest embrace. The kind Maya had forgotten existed. The kind that felt like sunlight after months of rain. Maya stiffened for a moment. Her body wasn't used to kindness. It didn't know how to accept love without fear. But slowly, her walls dissolved. Her trembling hands lifted tentatively, almost unsure if she should hug back. When she finally did, her breath broke, and tears poured down her cheeks, quiet at first, then uncontrollable. The little girl didn't pull away. She held Maya tighter, her tiny chin resting against Maya's shoulder, as if she could somehow shield her from all the pain she had carried. It was extraordinary how someone so small could offer comfort so big. When she finally stepped back, the girl looked at Maya with a sincerity that only children possess. Maya embarrassed quickly wiped her tears with the back of a shaking hand, but the girl beat her to it. She reached out with her small fingers and gently brushed away the tears on Maya's cheeks, just like a mother comforting her own child. She gave a shy smile and said in a cheerful, matter-of-fact tone, Mama says hugs fix hearts. The words echoed in Maya's mind. Hugs fix hearts. Maya swallowed hard. Her voice cracked as she managed to whisper, Thank you, little one. The girl smiled proudly as if she had done something important, something heroic. And in truth, she had. In that single moment, she offered Maya something deeper than warmth, food, or shelter. She offered her humanity. The warmth from that hug stayed with Maya long after the little girl's arms had released her. It felt like someone had lit a small candle inside her, fragile but bright enough to push back the darkness she lived in. For the first time in a very long time, Maya felt seen. Not as a homeless woman, not as a burden, not as a stranger, but as a human being who deserved kindness, and all it took was a hug. The warm moment between Maya and the little girl was interrupted by the sound of hurried footsteps. A woman likely in her early 30s appeared at the top of the church steps, her face tight with worry. She had obviously been searching, frantically, her eyes darting left and right until they landed on her daughter hugging a stranger. For a brief second. Her breath caught in fear. She rushed down the steps, calling softly, Lily, sweetheart, you can't just run off like that. But her voice faded as she came closer and truly saw Maya, not the way most people saw her, not with judgment, not with discomfort, but with recognition of another mother's child who was hurting. Her gaze softened instantly. Maya lifted her head, wiping her damp cheeks. Embarrassed, she expected the woman to pull the little girl away. She expected the same fear, the same avoidance that had become too familiar. But the mother surprised her. She knelt down beside Maya, placing herself on the same cold step without hesitation. Her daughter remained by her side, still holding Maya's hand. The mother spoke, not with pity, but with gentle concern. Have you eaten today? The question pierced through Maya's heart. She hadn't expected kindness. She didn't remember the last time someone cared enough to ask about her well-being. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. After a moment, she simply shook her head. The mother exhaled softly, a mix of sorrow and determination. Wait here, she said gently. She took her daughter's hand, and hurried toward their car parked across the street. Maya watched them leave, her heart tightening with fear that they would never return. She had learned not to expect anything, not help, not compassion, not promises. But only a few minutes later, the mother came running back, arms full, a warm, steaming food container, a bottle of water, and a thick winter coat far too nice for someone to casually give away. She placed the items beside Maya with care. Please eat, she whispered. You look so cold, sweetheart. Maya stared at the food, her vision blurring. Her hand shook as she picked up the container, feeling the warmth seep into her frozen fingers. Why? Why are you doing this? Maya managed to whisper, her voice breaking. The mother gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Because you're someone's daughter, and you deserve help. Maya swallowed back a sob. Gratitude filled her chest so intensely it hurt. She opened her mouth to speak, but emotion strangled out her voice. The mother continued softly. There's a women's shelter near the community center. I can take you there if you'd like. You shouldn't be alone out here. Maya couldn't speak. She simply nodded slowly, gratefully, her eyes overflowing. For months, she had lived in silence and despair. But today, on the cold church steps, she found two angels. One small with curly hair. And one strong with a heart big enough to lift a stranger out of darkness. The days that followed felt like stepping into a new world for Maya, one filled with possibilities she had long forgotten she deserved. With the mother's help, she was taken to a nearby women's shelter, a place filled with warm beds, soft blankets, and faces that didn't turn away from her pain. For the first time in months, she slept through the night without the cold biting into her bones. The shelter staff welcomed her with gentle smiles and voices that carried hope. They helped her register for life skills classes, counseling sessions, and even programs that could lead to steady work. Every morning, Maya woke up to the comforting sound of women talking, laughing, and supporting each other, something she had lost when life fell apart. She began eating full meals, warm soups, fresh bread, and proper breakfasts that made her feel human again. Slowly, her cheeks regained color, her eyes regained light, and her heart regained strength. She found herself smiling more often, something she once believed she had forgotten how to do. But what warmed her heart the most was the little girl. Every Sunday, without fail, the small girl with curly hair and bright eyes would return to the same church steps where they first met. But now, instead of offering a hug, she came running to receive one. The moment Lily spotted Maya, she would squeal with excitement, drop her tiny pink backpack, and throw her arms wide open. Maya would kneel down, catching her in a warm embrace that lifted both their spirits. One Sunday, as Maya hugged her tightly, she whispered with a trembling smile, your hug saved my life. Lily pulled back, her eyes sparkling with pride, and giggled. I told you, hugs fix hearts, and she truly believed it. Maya would laugh softly, as something she rarely did beforehand, gently brush Lily's curls away from her face. Those visits became the highlight of her week. They reminded her of innocence, kindness, and the beauty of small miracles. Over time, Maya's confidence grew. She found herself participating eagerly in classes, learning new skills, and even helping other women who arrived at the shelter scared and broken just like she once was. She knew exactly how they felt, and she offered them the same gentle comfort she had received. The mother, too, visited occasionally, checking on Maya like an old friend. She watched proudly as Maya transformed from a frightened young woman on cold church steps into someone strong, hopeful, and determined to rebuild her life. Asterisk standing outside the shelter one evening, Maya looked up at the sky painted in shades of gold and pink. A peaceful smile touched her lips. She realized she had been given a second chance not through grand gestures, but through the pure, innocent compassion of a child's hug. A hug that reminded her she mattered. A hug that restored her faith in humanity. Asterisk a hug that truly fixed her heart. Asterisk Maya found hope again. Asterisk all because a little girl had the courage to care.